There are a lot of Pokemon ROM hacks. Like, a lot. It's a very simple game with an enormous fanbase, which makes it a target for spin-off games. While this sounds like a positive at first, it actually makes choosing a game to play a daunting task. You don't want to sink several dozen hours into a game only to find out it's mediocre. So I'm here to tell you this. Play Pokemon Clover. If I had to describe Pokemon Clover, it's what would happen if your mildly racist uncle that you see once a year at Thanksgiving made one of the most impressive ROM hacks.
That did it!
If you couldn't tell by the name, Clover is a 4chan based Pokemon game. What does that mean? It means that instead of the usual cliche dialogue, characters talk about browsing /V and drinking gamer girl piss. It means that instead of fighting boring supervillain goons, you fight Nazis, Australians, and Samuel L. Jackson. It means that the Pokemon that inhabit the world range from genuinely incredible design to this shit. I think the most convincing selling point is that every single Pokemon is entirely original. Sorta. 386 original Pokemon. It's that same feeling you get when you boot up Pokemon Black for the first time and explore a world completely different from any of the game's predecessors. It's incredibly immersive, and even though so many of the Pokemon are ridiculous looking, it fits the general theme. When you start off, you get the choice between 3 Pokemon, you know the fucking drill. Grass type, water type, fire type. The 3 Pokemon you can choose between are Grasshole, Ejackasm, and Aerobomb. I told you it was a 4chan game. I chose Grasshole obviously because grass type starters are always the best ones. Something you will learn very early on is that this game will kick your ass. Seriously, you can't rely on brute forcing your way through fights. The game specifically sets up several parameters that make it impossible to get through without strategy. After 4 items, you're unable to use any more, which means the usual strategy of hyper potioning your way past the Elite Four is off the table. The settings are automatically on set rather than shift, so you can't swap out your Pokemon between kills. And there are anti-grinding mechanics that make it so you specifically can't overlevel. That's the advantage Pokemon Clover has. They understand what it's like to be a Pokemon fan and change the game accordingly to influence you more towards crafting out strategies. TMs are infinite, you can use them as much as you want, and HMs, instead of clinging onto you like a fucking leech and ruining your move pool permanently, can instead be removed and replaced with any other move. This means you can swap around moves to have better type effectiveness against whatever gym leader you're fighting. Something I find certain Pokemon games struggle with is holding your attention throughout the story. There's always certain interesting events that take place, but in the end you're mostly wandering around going from one gym to the next until the game is over. This is why Pokemon Clover fills its game with really idiotic plot points. You'll come across some alien crash landing or some wacky earthbound looking city, or get thrown off a ship and end up stranded on an island. These events help draw your attention away from the fact that the game takes 80 fucking hours to beat. Clover is absolutely flooded with humor. It's what makes it stand out from most of the other ROM hacks. All the strongest opponents you fight have some goofy trait about them. One's an emaciated Kanye West, one's Snoop Dogg. I can't believe I'm about to say this word in 2022, but one is an SJW. Your 2 main rivals are a comically edgy emo kid and this lady who constantly talks like a 2011 goth girl. It's horrible. Some of the Pokemon you'll find will include Furnazi, Cacodemon, Orion, Potarded, Kuklan, Plebbles, Peacodon, and Gampster. But on the flip side, you've got some really convincing Fakemon that could pass as a legit Gen 3 or 4 Mon. Clover isn't just another Pokemon ROM hack, it's strange, funny, grueling, and just a goddamn epic. There's an actual feeling of accomplishment when you defeat a gym leader or rival. It's full of small gags like Darude's Sandstorm playing when you fight gym leaders, and it all culminates in a really unique charm. The game somehow feels like both a love letter to Pokemon and a direct criticism of it. I would absolutely recommend that you play this game, especially if you already like the Pokemon franchise. Okay, now I'm gonna shit on it. 80 hours is too long for a Pokemon game. It just is. There's no amount of twist that can make a Pokemon game enjoyable for that long. The game could really just be condensed down to more like 50 hours by stripping out some of the unnecessary plot lines. There's also a lot of wide open spaces and confusing moments where you have no idea where to go next to continue the story. Pokemon games are linear by necessity. You always need to be on track to the next big thing, or else you're just wandering around getting random encounters every 2.5 seconds. If you don't have some sort of tolerance to offensive jokes, then you really won't enjoy this game. One of the Pokemon is literally this. There's plenty of stereotypes, like a plotline where you need to smuggle Mexicans across a border, or when you beat a Jew in combat and he gives you 0 gold in return, which is hilarious, but it also makes the game unplayable if you're not into those sort of jokes. The problem with having an impossibly hard Pokemon game and one with entirely new Pokemon is that I don't fucking know what Pokemon to use. Like, what is this thing? Water? Grass? Psychic? Steel? Electric Bug. It's Electric Bug. What, you couldn't guess that based off of its appearance? And with the game being as hard as it is, you can't just catch random Pokemon. You need to catch specifically top tier Pokemon unless you want to have a bad time. And with the game being as unknown as it is, it's near impossible to find information about what Pokemon are good. So with that in mind, here's my team. Demon or Drop when you find him is a water ground type Pokemon that you can find before the first gym. It's not too great early on, but it's an excellent late game foil to fire types. Keep in mind it evolves with a water stone. Yadoom or Fluffy Yeti is an ice dark type you find somewhere around the second gym. With Swords Dance he becomes a great physical damage glass cannon, though he was probably one of the weaker ones on my team. Karooster or Kenjin is a normal flying type Pokemon you can find pretty much first thing. It's a mid-game powerhouse once it learns Hyper Voice and Roost, and scales in the late game pretty well. Uwado or Alamo is a Psychic Steel Pokemon you can find around the abandoned UFO. He's real good, and has the most impressive move pool out of all my mons. He evolves when you use the metal coat on him. Rectream or Grasshole is a starter Pokemon. You get him at the start. He's grass ground type and real good. And finally, Batarex or Reptike is a dragon fighting type. He's also really fucking good, and you can find him on Singles Island along with 2 other options. Yep, that's my mini guide, and if I have one more complaint about the game, it's that it was kind of a pain in my ass to download, so I'm going to give you a little step by step so you can play it. Firstly, you need to download the Squirrels version of Fire Red. Yes, it specifically has to be the Squirrels version, link in the description. Secondly, you need to plug it into this converter app and download it. And thirdly, for some reason it refuses to work on most of the Game Boy Advance emulators, so you need to specifically use MGBA. Yes, I will link all this down in the description, don't worry. Now please download it, and then play it, bitch.